Australian television journalist Cheng Lei is marking 1,000 days in Beijing jail after being accused of spying. Her friends and family are appealing to the Chinese government to release her, deeply concerned about the delays to her case. First, the coalition and now the Albanese government has failed to secure her release or make any progress in her case. Cheng is 47. She grew up in Australia and returned to China, where she was born, to work as a television anchor with Chinese state TV. First detained back in August 2020, she hasn't been allowed to speak with her children since then. They were 9 and 11 when their mother was taken, now aged 11 and 14. They're currently living in Melbourne with their grandmother. Beijing has accused Cheng Lei of spying, of providing state secrets to a foreign country, but has provided no evidence at all to back up its claims. Cheng Lei was tried in March. An April verdict deferred another 3 months. The legal process, a joke. China's courts have a conviction rate of 99%, and espionage can mean a life sentence. Today, for the first time, we've heard what sort of conditions Cheng Lei has been enduring. Her partner, Nick Coyle, wrote in The Australian that during her time in China's notorious residential surveillance at a designated location, the only contact with the outside world was a 30-minute video consular visit, which started each month with Lei being led in, blindfolded and handcuffed before being placed in a chair with a timber restraint to limit her movement during her 30 minutes of so-called freedom. He writes that after the 6-month RSDL, that's the residential designated period of house arrest, when that phase ended, her elation at having cellmates and fresh air for just 2 hours a day in a 3-metre by 3-metre courtyard surrounded by bars was palpable. For the many people, Paul Keating being one of them, who try and paint a rosier picture of China, this treatment of an Australian mother is appalling. She's one of 2 Australians imprisoned in China over espionage charges. Writer Hengjun was tortured while he was interrogated, tactics designed to elicit a confession from him. He's now been in prison for close to 4 years, and 2 years ago, he revealed how he'd faced 300 interrogations, 300, some running for hours and hours in the middle of the night. Cheng Lei, even if she is released now, will never get back these years of her life, these wasted years. She'll never get back the time she's missed with her children. That Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews refused to raise her case when she's a Victorian is unacceptable, inexplicable.
I've never asked a Premier to go over there and solve the problem. I've never asked a Premier to go and create foreign policy for Australia. So when McGowan and Andrews have said, hey, it's a foreign policy issue, nothing to do with me, I think it's a cop-out. All I've asked is, had they engaged with me, we could have had this conversation in more detail, but all I've asked is to point out the bleeding obvious, that she's been detained for just under 1,000 days. She can't talk to her kids. She can't talk to her parents. She's held in extremely difficult circumstances. They're frankly appalling.
And that was Nick Coyle, Cheng Lei's partner, speaking with Andrew Bolt recently. Anthony Albanese is trying to organise a meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping for later this year. Cheng and Yang's release needs to be a prerequisite for any further thawing in the Australia-China relationship. We can't possibly return to a normal diplomatic relationship when innocent Australians are locked up and tortured and denied due process. Despicable human rights violations. They are effectively political prisoners. Australia's best leverage with China was the renewal of normal ties. But the Albanese government has given this to China without demanding Cheng and Yang's release first. This was a mistake. Albanese at least is sympathetic to her cause, but he mustn't meet with Xi Jinping without demanding Cheng's release and Yang's ahead of that meeting.
Our Foreign Minister raised the issues of concern, including the ongoing treatment of Cheng Lei and Dr. Yang and others. Dialogue is always a good thing. Of course, this is just a first step.
Our position on China has been to engage constructively, but to continue to put forward that the impediments to trade should be removed, to say very directly to President Xi that Australians such as Cheng Lei need to be given proper justice and that they're not receiving that at the moment, and to raise those issues, to raise human rights issues. So we don't shy away from that.